great.
Councilmember Mike Bonin wrote a Facebook post before Rosendahl died, saying he was happy at home, surrounded by family and friends, with the sounds of his chickens and the fresh breeze he loves so much. Rosendahl died a short time later. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
In lieu of flowers, donations in his memory can be made to any of his favorite organizations helping youth or the homeless. Well, turning to our other top stories, plans to expand a landfill in Glendale are still on the table despite some possible health risks. Gil Reyes has more from the Eagle Rock-Glendale border. Gil.
Yes, Yana. Residents against the planned expansion of the dump site just a little bit up the road from here say it's not just the environmental risks. It's also the fact that these are City of LA roads that are required to get up there, even though the trash is not from the City of LA.
The Shoal Canyon landfill off the 134 freeway is located in Glendale, but trucks have to travel City of Los Angeles streets to get there. That's a problem for LA City Councilman Jose Huizar.
You can see here today the traffic that flows to the dump every day, bringing noise, litter, and diesel pollution to Eagle Rock.
All that pollution from a dump that City of Los Angeles residents can't even use. That's why Huizar is against a possible expansion of the Glendale landfill. Expansion would raise the site by nearly 200 feet and allow 8 million more tons of trash. Some say this would worsen area pollution.
Let us not forget that this regional dump is surrounded on all sides by residential communities, parks, and schools. Of special concern are the preschools and elementary schools closest to the dump.
They can negatively impact our health, increasing the occurrence of asthma, emphysema, lung cancer.
Also possible contamination to area groundwater. A draft environmental impact report 2 years ago detailed some of the health risks from expansion. More recent studies by UCLA and Caltech say there's an active earthquake fault near the site. So why are Glendale's elected leaders still considering expansion?
Glendale elects all of its representatives at large. So there is no member specifically from the dump-affected neighborhoods that are most heavily burdened by the pollution or the dangers coming off of the dump.
Glendale city officials could vote on the matter this summer. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Opponents of expansion say it contradicts the City of Glendale's plans to significantly reduce pollution over the next decade. Well, it's another step in the multi-pronged approach to tackling homelessness in the city of LA. And this one is helping to clean up the streets in South LA's Council District 9. Anna Marcos has more.
Close to 2,500 people live on the streets in South LA's Council District 9, one of the highest concentrations of homeless people in the city. But more of them are now getting help as Councilmember Curran Price adds more specialized outreach teams in the street.
This issue is not about institutions or agencies or organizations. It really is about individuals. It's about neighbors, family and friends.
Price has announced a $300,000 plan to get more of the homeless in his district off the street and into housing. People like Sandra Nunez and her kids.
My children and I are homeless, and it is wonderful to find out that there are different organizations to assist us. As a person, I feel so happy. I'm happy that there are others reaching out to me, and I'm very, very grateful.
Price says 40 people are now transitioning into housing and other social services as a result of his team's latest outreach efforts.
This includes 2 homeless vets and 1 pregnant woman.
A critically mentally ill homeless woman was located and hospitalized at Harbor UCLA, while the family was contacted to start the process to guarantee continuing psychiatric services and supportive placement.
Residents support the homeless outreach efforts after battling the homeless problem in their own neighborhoods.
Thank you, Councilman, for your hard work, for doing to help the homeless while also helping to protect the quality of life for your constituents.
Price plans to continue to work to find more permanent housing, and in following with the city's new homeless strategic plan, he will also identify parking lots to serve as temporary shelters. Mobile showers and more storage facilities for the homeless are also in the plans. But the rise out of homelessness and into housing is often measured in small steps, one person at a time. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
There are more than 44,000 homeless people in LA County. Well, after-school programs that help boost student achievement are being threatened by lack of funding. As Gil Reyes reports, the drive is on to raise financing for the first time since 2006.
Save our programs! Save our programs!
Parents rally outside LA City Hall to support more funding for California's after-school programs.
This program, this vital program, has not received an increase in funding for nearly a decade.
And the services and the cost of living has gone up and up and up.
That's why Councilman Bob Blumenfield and his colleagues on the LA City Council unanimously support Assembly Bill 2663. It would add another $74 million to state after-school programs, an extra $1 a day per child. The measure would also adjust future spending increases to the rate of inflation. Supporters say not passing this could threaten LA's Best, a local after-school program for kids ages 5 to 12. UCLA studies show students enrolled in LA's Best are less likely to drop out of school in later years.
This is not daycare. It's an extension of our school day. It's where kids can get extra tutoring in math, science, and reading. It's where our kids are getting tutored because their parents can't be home by the time some of our kids get out of school.
Insufficient funding levels have hindered the ability of after-school programs like LA's Best to attract and retain quality staff, which has resulted in reduced staffing hours.
Councilman David Ryu authored the city resolution to support the bill now under consideration in the state capitol. It could come down to Governor Brown, who ignored a similar measure last year. That's because California already receives more than $500 million for after-school programs annually. That's more than any other state. But the city council says that's still not enough to offset cost of living and other increases over the past decade. Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Supporters say 50,000 students statewide could be shut out of after-school programs without additional funding. Well, with a fast-growing city, leaders look to keep up with the changing trends to make downtown LA an easier city to navigate. Rasha Goel has more. Rasha.
Yana, I'm here in downtown Los Angeles at Spring Street Park, where city officials are saying that over the next 5 years, over 80,000 residents are expected to live here in downtown Los Angeles. So they've put together a plan that's going to help make downtown LA more residential friendly. And not just for residents, but anyone who commutes or visits this international city of angels. On the forefront is Councilmember Jose Huizar, who has been working on what's known as the Downtown LA Forward Initiative, which focuses on improving traffic flow, pedestrian and bicyclist access, along with increased green and public space in downtown LA.
Whether it's pedestrian Head Start crosswalks that give pedestrians a 4-second head start, or green alleyways that make alleys a place you actually want to walk down, or reimagining our parks like Pershing Square Renew is doing.
Huizar has been working with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the Los Angeles Department of Transportation, and the Department of Recreation and Parks and other partners to implement the changes.
Really pulls together an amazing banner where we're going to bring 1,000 bike share bikes to downtown in just a few months, where we're going to take Spring and Main from really great streets to amazing streets. Where we're going to prioritize pedestrian safety and the most vulnerable users.
We're just really excited to be a part of the community in downtown and to continue to provide these great services and great parks.
Officials look to make downtown more functional, accessible, and safer with 3 top goals in mind.
1, creating more livability in the downtown area. 2, continuing to promote economic development and tourism. And 3, working to connect downtown's distinct neighborhoods through alternative modes of transportation and creating more walkable and bikeable streets.
Something we all hope to experience very soon. In Los Angeles, I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
Councilmember Huizar has led other initiatives in his district, including bringing back Broadway and Pershing Square Renew. Well, it's a Tinseltown mansion that's mixing a little Hollywood with a little history. The Waddles Mansion Showcase is a first-of-its-kind tour, and it's now open for business. Anna Marcos takes a look.
The historic Waddles Mansion just went Hollywood big time. The Department of Recreation and Parks, which owns the property, has teamed up with local interior designers for a first-ever showcase. And for $40 a pop, the public gets an up-close look at Hollywood glamour.
To have a home that's actually in this beautiful condition from 1908 is really unusual, and people, they love to see these things.
The mansion was built by Gurdon Waddles, a banker who financed the building of the first Hollywood studios. And now the showcase, called The First 100 Years, draws inspiration from 100 years of Hollywood movies and their movie stars, like the 30s movie siren Marlene Dietrich.
We see her as a woman of courage, of strength.
Picture this, Marlene Dietrich relaxing on her chaise lounge, wrapped in furs, smoking a cigarette, listening to 30s music. Oh, I've got a phone call on my phone. That's what this room is supposed to evoke.
It's a very glamorous lounge area for an actress like her to hang out.
She did a little bit both ways. She loved, there was a picture that I saw of her kissing Hedy Lamarr. She did dress in a very masculine way with a tuxedo and top hat. So she really did cross the lines in a lot of ways.
But if Dietrich is not your style, there's a Leo DiCaprio room, a Midnight in Paris room, complete with old-fashioned typewriter, an Audrey Hepburn room, which includes a closet inspired by her famous hats, and a room that uses the movie The Birds for inspiration.
In the Birds room, the designers have used it as very lightly. It's just a beautiful sitting room upstairs, but when you open the closet, all the wallpaper inside has birds, and they have little birds as accents in there.
We really think that a lot of people don't get a chance to see a house like this, and we really welcome them to come and be able to see a house in all of its grandeur.
The Waddles Mansion Showcase will be open to the public Thursdays through Sundays from now until April 17th. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
For more information, visit waddlesshowcase.com. While the city and LA Unified reach a compromise to put their first ever senior center on an elementary school campus, Gil Reyes explores the possibilities.
The young at heart enjoy a show at the newly opened Echo Park Senior Center. It provides the elderly in this multicultural community so many fun things to do.
There is a great deal of gratitude from all of us here and for all of those who are in the community.
You can see forever and ever more.
Councilman Mitch O'Farrell calls the opening of the center, quote, the greatest professional achievement so far in his 2-year, 8-month term as councilman. It was a long, hard fight to finally open the center, but it happened.
Long story short, more than 50 families were evicted from this neighborhood more than a decade ago, when plans to build a school moved forward. But Councilman O'Farrell and community partners fought to have a portion of this campus reserved for the community. In this case, a senior center with free services.
So here we are with wonderful meals that will be administered, enrichment classes and programs, and interaction with the youth at the school, by the way, reading programs, etc. So seniors get to interact with young people, and it really is creating a village.
And not just with kindergarten to 8th graders attending Santa Cisneros Learning Academy. That's because older students are invited to volunteer here as well for graduation credits.
And actually having high school students come in and actually sit on a one-to-one basis with the seniors, having an instructor and then having the student helping that senior with computers.
Meeting people, meeting new people, having some new friends, and that's what we need. Helping one another, loving one another.
Remember, I'm 83, and he's 77. So, you never know.
Oh, yes, I'd love to see you again.
In Echo Park, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
The center is open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Meals are free for visitors 60 and over. While the LA City Council takes steps to repair LA's broken sidewalks, a major sports event is coming to the Staples Center again, and an egg hunt that's helping unite a community. All these stories and more in City Beat. The Los Angeles City Council approved a comprehensive sidewalk repair plan that calls for spending about $30 million a year for the next 3 decades to do initial repair work, then return the responsibility for future fixes to property owners. The council voted 14-0 to approve a plan that follows a fix and release strategy in which the city pays for the initial repairs of sidewalks next to both residential and commercial properties. Council members said the plan will tackle a backlog of damaged sidewalks that has built up over decades. The NBA announced that Los Angeles has been selected to host NBA All-Star 2018. The 67th annual game will take place at the Staples Center, home of the LA Clippers and Lakers, on Sunday, February 18th. This will mark the record 6th NBA All-Star in Los Angeles and the 3rd All-Star at the Staples Center. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver joined Mayor Eric Garcetti and other officials at the Staples Center to make the announcement.
We're so excited. We love, love, love our basketball here in LA. I certainly do. And I'm so excited that we'll have the very best, not just in this country, but in the world, right here. And this isn't just good for the spirit of this town. It's good for the jobs right here.
Iconic shopping destination, the Beverly Center at La Cienega and Beverly Boulevard, is about to undergo a major transformation. The mall's owners plan to spend $500 million to restructure the entire facility by making it more contemporary and providing a better experience for shoppers. Some of the improvements include adding natural light, opening walls to take advantage of the panoramic views, a shining new exterior, and improved parking. The Community Coalition hosted its annual Egg Extravaganza for South Los Angeles families at Martin Luther King Jr. Park in an effort to promote peace and unity. The event featured an egg hunt, games, face painting, exercise activities for adults, and a special appearance from the Easter Bunny. Officials say there's been an uptick in crime. That's why it's so important for the community to come together.
We see families, young people, grandparents, parents at every park getting involved. And so it's extremely exciting and the best of what we can do to build the kind of community we deserve.
When you bring an activity like this to a space like this, then it changes the dynamic of what this park can be utilized for.
Could it be our home air conditioning tune-up services for no cost? Well, Rasha Goel has more on a summer treat for Angelenos.
In the West Valley, air conditioning is not a luxury. It is often a life-saving measure. It is a necessity.
That's why, starting July, Angelenos will have the opportunity to save some dollars and energy thanks to a new air conditioning incentive.
By July 1st, Angelenos will be able to sign up with DWP to have a contractor come to your home for free and tune up your air conditioning.
What it does is it includes, free of charge to the ratepayer, air filter replacements, outdoor coil upgrades, airflow adjustments, coolant assessments, and much more. Steps that will reduce usage and increase savings.
There will also be an incentive offering up to $150 toward the purchase and installation of a programmable thermostat. The LADWP Board of Commissioners authorized up to $4.5 million a year for the next 3 years for the new program.
The AC Tune-Up program can help residents in the Valley and throughout LA save between 20 and 30% on their energy costs.
And while a LADWP rate increase is in the works, Mayor Eric Garcetti says it is necessary and will help provide Angelenos with more rebates such as this one.
Just because rates go up doesn't mean that your bill has to. If you get with the program, and we have so many great programs, we can help you save money.
The less we use, the more we save, both in our pocketbooks and in energy and water resources.
City officials say the largest source of energy use is the heating and cooling systems for residents and businesses, and it's also one of the most neglected energy-saving areas, as many systems are not properly maintained.
I'm Rasha Goel for LA This Week.
The air conditioning tune-up program is for both residential and commercial buildings. Well, if your kids love Curious George, here's your chance to meet the cute monkey in person, celebrate the written word during Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, and for all of you Harry Potter fans, the waiting is over as the magic comes alive at Universal Studios. All this in this week's Things to Do. The Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens host PBS SoCal Kids Weekend. The event fills the zoo's eucalyptus grove with a variety of engaging fun for families, with book readings, themed crafts, activities, and a kids' dance party. Guests also enjoy a special opportunity to take photos with PBS Kids characters Curious George and Buddy the Dinosaur from Dinosaur Train. Curious George is available for photos between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., and Buddy is available between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. PBS SoCal Kids Weekend is Saturday, April 9th and Sunday, April 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The event is free with paid admission to the LA Zoo.
What I want is books, and it's all around here.
The Los Angeles Times Festival of Books is a free public festival celebrating the written word. It is the largest book festival in the U.S. Started in 1996, the festival is held on the last weekend of April, hosted by the University of Southern California, and features vendors, authors, and publishers. Some of the events are panels with authors discussing a common subject, storytelling, and performances for children, as well as the Los Angeles Times Book Prizes. The goal is to bring together the people who create books with the people who love to read them. The festival takes place on April 9th and 10th at USC, located at 850 West 37th Street. For more, visit events.latimes.com/Festival of Books.
A dream.
5 years in the making, the highly anticipated Harry Potter attraction has opened its doors at Universal Studios. Immerse yourself in the adventures while exploring the mysteries of Hogwarts Castle. Stroll through Hogsmeade Village and experience pulse-pounding rides and attractions like Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey and Flight of the Hippogriff that'll transport you into a world of magic and excitement. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
What's shaking? We're not prepared for an earthquake. I love the rain, but we're not prepared for a flood.
Sure, in the movies, this is all pretend, but in real life, you gotta be prepared for any type of an emergency. You can't predict, but you can prepare.
Yeah.
How'd you know? The ball called.
Be prepared at LAFD.org.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
each and every one of you to your Los Angeles City Council chambers. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Mr. Clerk, we do have a quorum. Would you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonner, Buscaino, Cedillo, Englander, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Huizar, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Wesson. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Harris Dawson moves, Fuentes seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Price moves, O'Farrell seconds. Next.
Mr. President, the Department of Building and Safety recommends that items 1B, G, H, J, and N be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid in full. The Department further recommends that item 1D be reduced to $1,442.44 inasmuch as the lien has been partially paid. And they request that items 1A, C, and M be continued to May 6th. The Office of Finance recommends that item 2 be received and filed inasmuch as payment has been submitted and the case is now settled in full. The Housing Department recommends that item 37C be received and filed inasmuch as the department is working with the owner to correct violations. And there's been a request to continue item 20 to April 19th.
Okay, so without objection, that will be the order. Please continue.
Items 1 through 20 are items noticed for public hearing.
Okay, members, do we have specials 1 through 20? Then cards, Mr. Clerk. Do I have cards on these items?
1 and 15, sir.
Let's hold those items and prepare to vote on the remaining items. Please, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes. It's 13 ayes.
Continue.
Mr. President, items 21 through 29 are items for which public hearings have been held. Committee reports for items 21 and 29 have been submitted and circulated for Council's consideration.
Okay, specials members, I do not see any. Why don't we prepare to vote on these items? Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That brings us where?
Items 30 through 40.
Hold 1 second. Yes, Mr. Buscaino.
Mr. President, 22 forthwith, please.
22 forthwith. Now let's continue.
Items 30 through 49 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, sir, we do. Cards on items 37, 39, 40, 41, 45, 46, 47, and 48.
Okay, let's hold those items. Mr. Huizar.
Number 42, please. Special.
42 for Mr. Huizar. Let us now prepare to vote on what's remaining. Let's, Madam Clerk, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, continue.
Item 50 is an item scheduled for closed session. Would you like to hold it on the desk?
Yes, we'll hold that item. That brings us where?
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations or items called special.
Okay, with that said, I'm going to look to my right to Mr. Mitch O'Farrell. Are you ready to begin? Then the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, good morning.
Morning.
It gives me great pleasure to acknowledge and celebrate Arts Day LA here at City Hall.
Why don't you let us know how you really feel about Arts Day?
Yeah, come on. Come on. As you can see by these wonderful red buttons, arts and support for our arts and culture in Los Angeles is alive and well in 2016. Arts Day is an annual opportunity for Angelenos to celebrate the contributions of arts and culture to this great community. In its 5th year, Arts Day at City Hall unites artists, audiences, and arts organizations with the leaders who represent them here at City Hall, fostering stronger relationships between those crafting the vision of LA's future and those that make it a reality. Arts, culture, and creativity play an integral role in making our city vibrant, prosperous, livable, and healthy. With Los Angeles' unique geography, the vitality of our neighborhoods is a critical element of a strong, unified city. I'm going to get to some thank yous, and then we're going to have our first performance. I want to thank Arts for LA organization. I want to thank Grand Performances. I want to thank Yola at Ola Cello Ensemble, who performed in the Rotunda earlier. I want to thank 91.5 Classical USC, the Department of Cultural Affairs, of course, led by Danielle Brazel. Danielle, great job. The performers, supporters, and countless art advocates. Now, before we continue, please join me for a performance by artist, activist, and assistant professor in residence at UCLA's Department of African American Studies, Mr. Breon Bain.
Good morning. Good morning. It's an honor to be with you today. I want to thank Arts for LA, especially Christina Pacheco. Yes. The LA City Council for recognizing the value and importance and power of the arts. And Gina Belafonte, the director of Lyrics from Lockdown, which I'll be sharing a piece with you from today. My son Indigo scribbles endlessly on napkins, on sidewalks, in pen, pencil, and chalk. Frida Kahlo's on hands and feet, zigzag tag streaked on mirrors. Might have my man Basquiat beat. Daring as a cadre of Keith Haring's, no comparing, but if Warhol was alive, Andy couldn't compete. Who knew? Crayola calligraphy could be more radical than Rembrandt's. Vainglorious as Van Gogh, picturesque as Picasso. I ain't even know. My kindergarten artisan scribbles Sanskrit riddles, rehearses verses in undiscovered styles of cursive. On papyrus masterpieces, his felt pen releases a kaleidoscopic cartoon thesis. In this comic book of life, my firstborn son, scribbling since the age of 1. Treasure maps on folders expose a soul older than the Arctic shoulder, formed long before Jesucristo saw prehistoric wars between dinosaurs stomping on the ocean floor back in the day before Noah. Hieroglyphs, watercolor kiss his bunk bed ceiling. No sky limiting the vision in his head, fidgeting with the smidgen of provision at the dinner table, ready to run to his bedroom before he finished consuming dashin, bush, and dalberry, broccoli and dumpling stew. You know how West Indians do. Daddy, can I be excused, please? Who could refuse such an artist's urgent plea? Boy, you better finish them black eyed peas. Then spread the wings of your workbook open wide and dive inside. No Daedalus and Icarus for us, child. You was born to fly. I strive to be the father you deserve, more faithful to you than even your mama. When we dance like Dolly's oversized ants on each other's last nerve. Your scribble psalms tame the twilight, break the dawn until the hills and valleys yawn. Scribble on whatever issue hits you, even if you gotta put it on toilet tissue. Scribble on whatever superhero you swear is the best, the baddest, the bomb. Them bad boys on Krypton can only do the world so much harm. So long as you keep scribbling on. Breakdowns become breakthroughs. Like the young lad who used to take you in hands afraid you slip through like a grain of sand. Time told another story. Fate, it seems, had her own plan. Young boy, she whispered as you slept, magic marker in her left hand. Take hold of this and scribble on. Scribble your father on into a man. Isaiah Gage. My name is Breon Bain. Thank you. Peace.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. As you just saw by Mr. Bain's performance, the arts can play a special role in all of our lives. Nothing explains the world around us, nor our role in it, better than the expression of art, no matter what the medium. Art must be made more accessible in our public schools, in our entire education system. The world, yes, thank you, right? So many of us, myself included, who went through public schools, I had art classes all through grade school and junior high school. Art was accessible to everyone in the public school system I went to. It is a shame that it's not accessible to all Angelenos. And the organization that is here today supports art for youth across this great city. And it's something that we all need to get involved in. Art challenges us, it inspires us. In so many instances, art is what makes life worth living to so many others, to so many people. Not to mention the economic benefits that arts provide in our neighborhoods. For example, Theater Row in my district in Hollywood, which we are celebrating and elevating and bringing more theaters into, has a burgeoning economic development awareness around the neighborhood now. For example, art galleries are opening, restaurants are opening, all because of small theater, 99-seat theater in Los Angeles. Within the last 15 months, this council has passed the arts development fee, new administrative guidelines. The arts development fees have resulted in supporting over 20 public art projects in many neighborhoods throughout the city. The arts development fee funds were unlocked to provide citywide benefits, including free music festivals, film festivals, art walks, and permanent public art projects citywide and in other parts of the city that have tremendous needs. It is more equitable now, the way that we readopted it, and art can be found in more neighborhoods than it ever was previously able to do. Murals are back. Our great murals in the city of Los Angeles are making a comeback. Thanks to the new rules created by the Department of Cultural Affairs at the direction of this council, and Jose Huizar was a leading voice on this, 41 new murals and over 400 vintage art murals have been registered. Additionally, 15 historically significant murals have been conserved, and more on the way. Now, the Department of Cultural Affairs is focused on partnering with the Los Angeles Public Library and the Human Relations Commission on mapping the cultural heritage of the indigenous people for Los Angeles County. Please help me in giving a big Arts Day welcome to world-renowned painter and muralist, community arts pioneer, scholar, and educator who's been teaching art in the UC system for over 28 years, Judy Baca.
Good morning, members of the City Council, esteemed artists and colleagues in the arts. I'm delighted to be able to address you this morning on behalf of Arts for LA. I speak as a working visual artist and a muralist born and raised in Los Angeles. On my way here this morning, I was remembering the first time I addressed the members of this council in this chamber. I was in my 20s. It was 1973 when I gave an impassioned plea after working many years in Boyle Heights with street youth to produce the first works of murals in our city. I made a plea for the first city-sponsored mural program. A visionary council funded that program in the Department of Rec and Parks, and for a modest $175,000, began a program that was key in the creation of hundreds of murals in our city, and for hiring youth from every neighborhood in Los Angeles. We're putting a new cultural face on who we are as a city. Through this program and subsequent city support to Sparks Neighborhood Pride program and the Department of Cultural Affairs, Los Angeles, the creative capital of the world, became the mural capital of the world. At its height, LA had over 5,000 murals. Los Angeles is the city of the future. We are global in nature. We are a city of nations. We speak 144 languages in our schools, have the largest diasporas of peoples making Los Angeles their home from multiple countries. It is what makes us unique. It is what makes us rich. And it is the places where we share culture, that new fusions through artistic cross-fertilizations that new American art has created. It is critical that our leaders, all of us together, have vision enough to make places for us to share our stories and communicate across difference. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to the principal of an elementary school in Watts, named for me. Imagine that. 5 blocks from where I was born, called the Judy Baca Arts Academy.
Yes.
I asked about the low achievement scores. What is the problem, I asked, with the children of our school? Why are they not learning? She said something profound and simple. They have trouble learning to speak and listen. Imagine speaking and listening. It is through the arts, and of course, the arts programs disappeared in many of our schools. It is through the art that children can learn to express themselves, to tell their stories, and have others hear them. They learn this through mural painting, through song, through spoken word and dance. The arts are the places where we learn to speak across our differences, to teach compassion, and to share what it means to be human beings speaking soul to soul. I congratulate our council for lifting the ban on murals and beginning a mural renaissance in our city. This year alone, Spark, my organization, that I founded over 40 years ago, has restored 9 iconic murals across the city. Our work is not done. I urge the council to create a line item again for the production of new community participatory murals and for the continuation of restorations of so many works lost during the dark years of the mural ban. In so many of our neighborhoods, this will be the children's first experience and exposure to the arts. It will become a site of public memory and be a signifying mark of home. So I leave you with this thought. A mural is not an easel painting made large. A mural is a work of art created in relatedness to the architecture in which it is placed, to the people for whom it is painted. It is a choreographed dance between team members, community residents, and street life. A mural scale transforms place, immerses the viewer in color, amplifies community voice. By preserving our past works of art and creating new opportunities for the young artists to paint and study, we can make Los Angeles the mural capital again, and we can learn to hear each other speak. So, as a closing, I just want to say, Bill Rosenthal, presente.
Thank you so much, Judy. Joining us also today is American television, film, and stage actor who has appeared in ER, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Everyone Loves Raymond, Glee, and currently in Amazon's Bosch. Also, the actress who has been in many, many major feature films, Hollywood's own Amy Aquino. Amy.
Hi, I'm Amy Aquino. I'm on the board of Arts for LA, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak today. When film and television work brought me to LA 25 years ago, I, with some reason, was a real snob about the cultural superiority of New York over LA. Well, cut to 2016, and LA is now, in fact, America's official creative capital. Yeah. It's true. It's true. I mean, we feel it all around us daily. There is this buzzing civic renaissance of new galleries, studios, restaurants, museums, theaters, tech hubs, and jazz clubs. It's a creative economy intimately tied to the health and well-being of our citizens and our community. Now, and it's more than just a feeling. I mean, the Otis report on the creative economy just put LA 1 in 6 LA jobs, in the creative industries. It's accounting for 18% of the county's wages and nearly $177 billion in revenue, spending, and economic activity. That's a lot. And that's not just my business, the entertainment industry. That includes designers, manufacturers, toy makers, publishers, you name it. In our increasingly globalized world, creative thinking and innovation are at the core of advancement. So leaders from the public, the private, and the nonprofit sectors simply must work together to nurture and to challenge the creative economy so it can flourish and thrive. Hollywood isn't just my business. It is now my hometown, and I am extremely proud of it. I want to help ensure that the value of LA's creative economy is reflected in the political and policy-making process. That's why I joined the board of Arts for LA, and why, like 90% of Arts for LA's 50,000 members, I make my voice heard at the ballot box in every election. Your leadership has, in fact, helped to shepherd our city's cultural ascendancy, with your investment in the arts and culture providing job opportunities and exposure to the arts across LA. We really, truly thank you for your past commitments, and we ask you to please keep investing in arts and culture, especially for our local community arts centers, so that all Angelenos can have access to the arts and be a part of our thriving creative economy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. Alex Johnson is an author. He's an LA County Board of Education board member, Arts for Incarcerated Youth Network board director, and executive director of the Children's Defense Fund. Mr. Johnson points out both the inherent downside of not having arts and culture available to our youth, and the upside of healing our youth with arts and culture. So, Mr. Alex Johnson.
Good morning, and thank you to Councilman O'Farrell and the entire City Council for supporting Arts Day. I'm delighted to be here to join in the celebration for Arts Day, but to also have the opportunity to talk about the importance of the arts as a key strategy to disrupt and to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. The school-to-prison pipeline is essentially a set of policies and practices that favor incarceration over education, zero-tolerance policies, punishment over rehabilitation, and disproportionately push largely students of color, African American and Latino students, and an overwhelming number of boys out of the classroom into our juvenile halls and camps, and ultimately, all roads lead to jail, to prison, and worse, unless there is some intervention. The school-to-prison pipeline, which too often starts when student behavior is addressed in a manner that is disproportionate to the offending act, is symptomatic in many instances of unmet trauma and the need for healing. It's well settled that too many young people are exposed early in life to trauma and chronic adversity and exposure to violence. It impairs brain development in children and youth. The arts creates an off-ramp to the pipeline that engages young people and empowers them. It's not a distraction. It's a diversionary tool for them to heal, to tell their stories through spoken word, through dance, through storytelling, through performance art, or a visual piece. It gives young people the power to simply be kids again and to reclaim their childhood. And that's why I'm so proud to be on the governing board for the Arts for Incarcerated Youth Network, led by my dear friend Kylie Schilling, who's here today. This is an organization comprised of 8 amazing arts organizations, arts providers, who serve incarcerated youth within Los Angeles County. The idea is that through the arts we can build resiliency, we can build wellness, we can eliminate recidivism, and we can transform the juvenile justice system. I'm a believer in the transformative power of the arts to save lives and to redirect young people toward careers in one of the fastest and largest growing industries in this region. Arts is a smart reentry strategy, and it's one that we should continue to uplift.
Definitely.
Investing in arts, however, must begin well before a young person enters into incarceration. It must begin with early childhood education, as it is one of the core building blocks of child development. Every single child, regardless of zip code, should be exposed to the arts in order to receive a well-rounded education. The arts can take shape in many forms and many fashions, but the bottom line is that for young people, we know that it will improve their achievement in school and is a critical strategy to dismantle the school-to-prison pipeline. So today, I'm here to simply state that we can and we must do more for the arts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex. Arts Day would not be Arts Day without the dedicated staff of Arts for LA. I would like to give a special thanks to Christina Pacheco, Charles Flowers, and Abril Iñiguez for their dedication and commitment to arts and culture in Los Angeles. Of course, a team would not be a team without its leader. Sophia Klatzker is the Executive Director of Arts for LA. In her second year, Arts for LA encourages a continued commitment to advancing the role creativity plays in fueling our region's workforce through arts education and youth development, fostering cultural tourism for the city's projected 45.5 million annual visitors and growing, and enhancing the quality of life for all our 4,005,000 residents here in Los Angeles. Before I bring Sophia to say a few words, I also want to highlight the great works of my own team, Mr. William Ayala, Star Parsamian, Star, okay. David Hiron, and Christine Peters on my team who made this possible. Before I bring Sophia up, though, I would like to, I have the big one. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so this is also the 10-year anniversary for the organization Arts for LA, and so this is a little surprise certificate for Sophia on the 10th year anniversary of this wonderful organization that is making such a huge difference in the city of Los Angeles. So congratulations. Yeah, you bet. You bet. Okay. All right, Sophia, it's all yours.
Okay. Well, this is a huge honor to be here. Good morning. Thank you, Councilmember O'Farrell.
Thank you, Council President Wesson, and all the members of the Council. Today is an exciting moment to celebrate the arts in Los Angeles. I want to thank the entire city family as well, the Department of Cultural Affairs and many of the other offices who make up this great administration. Thank you for your leadership and your support. I stand here today as the Executive Director of Arts for LA, honored to be alongside such incredible speakers and artists and arts advocates who represent the arts community and voice of our city. We cultivate and grow remarkable people who are passionate, big thinkers, as evidenced this morning by everyone behind me. Arts and culture and creativity play a central role in our city, making it vibrant, prosperous, and livable. And today we celebrate your past investments in the arts and encourage a continued commitment to advancing the role creativity plays in fueling our region's workforce through arts education and youth development, fostering cultural tourism for the city's projected 450 annual visitors, and enhancing the quality of life for all of our 4 million residents. We are here to advocate for equitable access to arts and culture. This is a social justice issue. We need to be able to serve every neighborhood across the city, and with a deeper investment of staff and arts instructors in our community arts and youth arts education, the 37 city-managed facilities could expand hours in programming to after school to serve communities when they need that programming the most. We would like to see the expanding reach of programs such as arts activation, which would similarly provide ways to enhance the physical and social character of our neighborhoods by supporting local businesses and improving public safety through arts and cultural activities. Finally, we applaud the Council's attention to addressing the importance of murals. We have the opportunity to deepen neighborhood pride and engage community members to feel connected to one another and their environment. And to do this, we ask for an increase in the investment made to restore and commission new fine art murals. Arts for LA and our community of advocates are committed to providing a bridge connecting this powerful arts community and your leadership. We embody the spirit of civic engagement. These advocates gathered today are here to say thank you for your leadership, and let's continue to make arts and culture a priority in all of our neighborhoods and communities and council districts. We know the power of the arts to be an economic driver. We heard about that this morning. We know the critical importance of creative collaborative leadership that seeks to fix broken policies and systems so that we can maximize our resources. We all want a livable and vibrant quality of life, and we are committed to standing with you to make this happen. We know that the arts are for everyone. Now we need to ensure that we are not leaving anyone behind. Thank you for this moment to celebrate with you. Thank you for recognizing our 10 years. We stand ready for the future ahead with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. Thank you, Sophia.
Mr. O'Farrell, would it be okay if I deferred to another member at this time?
Absolutely.
Mr. Koretz, Paul Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Los Angeles, I think, is forever lucky to have had a great champion on the city council, Joel Wax, who is a dear friend of mine and who served on this council for almost 30 years before he became the head of the Andy Warhol Foundation. So probably nobody had a more perfect life because his loves were government and politics and the arts, and he got to do one and then the other for a huge amount of time. He not only supported the arts, but he championed having the arts in our schools, in our civic lives, and in our personal lives. And when he talked about art, he often quoted a verse from a very old poem, which I'll quote. "If thou of fortune be bereft, and in thy store there be but left 2 loaves, sell one and with the dole, buy hyacinths to feed thy soul." And I think what he meant was that along with the necessities of life, we mustn't forget the joy, meaning, and sustenance that we get from the arts and the unique agent of change that the arts provide us collectively and as a society. And for me, that's exactly what Arts Day celebrates. I hope we continue to make gains in all those arenas. I thank all of you who made this day possible, both here, our honorees, and in the audience. And I thank Mitch O'Farrell for his great work on this as well, and let's do more to support the arts. Thank you.
Mr. Price. Curran Price.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, would like to just thank Councilman O'Farrell and the team for supporting the arts and bringing this program to us again today. We know that the arts is a tool for us better understanding our humanity, certainly a tool for reentry concerns, especially with our youth, but it's also a tool for economic development. Small businesses, entrepreneurs, providing goods and services, supporting artists and artists themselves. And so we are just so grateful for the unique role that arts plays in our culture and our society, and we appreciate you all as advocates, visual, performing, spoken word, or whatever. The arts is important, and we appreciate your support. Thank you.
Mr. Huizar.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mitch, for a wonderful presentation. Ever since you got on council, you have making supporting the arts one of your goals, so thank you for your work. You've been doing a wonderful job at it. And to all of you, thank you for being here. Thank you for being advocates. This is what we need to hear. This is how we need to partner. The discussion that is being, this is a discussion. It's not only people, it's a discussion about exchanging what more we can be doing, what should we be doing. So thank you so much for that. Really happy to see the leadership of our Cultural Affairs Department here, who's doing a fabulous job raising the arts to another level within the city as well. And Judy, you touched on two issues. When you mentioned Bowen Heights and the commissioning of arts early on, and how young people, for many people who see these arts, are their first exposure to the arts. That was me as a kid in Bowen Heights. That's why I was happy to partner with you on ending the ban and others, ending the ban on murals that the city had, because as a young boy walking the streets of Bowen Heights, I received a lot of education walking those streets. I would see Che Guevara on a mural and ask, who was that? I'd go to school and ask my teacher, who's Che Guevara? Emiliano Zapata, and I learned a lot about my history. I learned a lot about my role in society, and I think that helped develop my political activism later on in life. So it does impact young people in very important ways. And Alex, you have a wonderful role at the County Board of Education. I'm happy to announce that my young daughter was just accepted to LACSA in the theater department. That is a program, the more I learned about it, the more I was just astounded that we have a jewel here talking about how LA was never thought about as a meaningful place for the arts. We feel it. You got the data. You presented that. Thank you so much. Let's continue the work. There's a lot more work to be done. Thank you.
Mr. Buscaino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. O'Farrell, for bringing in a sea of foot soldiers in support of the arts here in the city of Los Angeles. We thank you. We thank you. And as a product of the performing arts, I know well the importance of having the arts in our schools, in our communities. In light of technology today, a lot of the kids focus on these right here. Phones, computers, and we need to call for more youth theaters, more opportunities in our schools, because what the arts did for me and what they do for kids today is focus on self-esteem, on communication skills, on self-confidence, and I want to recognize the Department of Cultural Affairs. Amazing work that we do continue in our city. Danielle, thank you to you and your team, you and Daniel. I know we're working hand to hand together in really maximizing one of our key community theaters, the Warner Grand Theater in downtown San Pedro, which I feel will act as an economic development tool. I do want to thank our local nonprofit arm that's done so much with the programming and the repair work. The Grand Vision Foundation, we have a gala coming up this Saturday, so I want to give them a shout out. And also our friends in the Korean American community, and we have an amazing Korean Friendship Bell the local nonprofit arm that recently helped with the repairs at the Korean Friendship Bell. In addition, the Watts Towers, an amazing opportunity for us to continue to celebrate this crazy Italian, as we know as Sabata Rodia, who built these amazing towers, and we're working with the state to designate the Watts Towers as a UNESCO site. So I want to recognize the commitment of this council. In fact, I believe, colleagues, we can put together a production here. We have Mr. O'Farrell, who plays the drums. Where's he at? I'm sorry, Englander, who plays the drums. We have a dancer before us, Mr. O'Farrell. I know, Jose, we saw you recently in a mariachi costume. I'd like to, Mr. Koretz, who has some great pipes, who can belt out a tune. And we have an amazing stand-up comedian who used to be a stand-up comedian, our council president, Mr. Weston. That's what he, right, Herb? That's what you did in the past. And I think I just lost my committee assignments, but. And recently we saw what our controller, Ron Galperin, can do at the roast last week. He's got some pipes on it as well. So maybe, Danielle, we can put together a production on behalf of this council to support the arts. So thank you very much for all that you do day in and day out. And thank you for advocating for the arts. We owe a debt of gratitude to each and every one of you. Thank you.
I think, Mr. Buscaino, we'll have you do a one-man show. Okay? Mr. Cedillo.
Let me echo the comments of all my colleagues. Talk about the brilliance of the Arts Development Fee, because that's one of the lifebloods of how all this will work. Reflect on growing up in Borough Heights with my dear colleague. I also grew up in Borough Heights, across the street from the Estrada Courts housing projects. And that would become one of the most iconic places in the world, seen in thousands of movies as part of Los Angeles. And then we moved later down the street, and I lived across the street from Frank Romero, one of the most famous artists of our city, muralist. And next to Larry Rendon, the sax player for the Midnighters, one of the great bands of East Los Angeles. And so art was rich in Borough Heights when I grew up. And so, unfortunately, the seat to represent Borough Heights was occupied when I came back from Sacramento. So I'm trying to take the arts to my first district, and we're doing that. We've put Glassell Land up on the hill. We've got Studio 50 and our Art Walk. We have our third annual Latin Jazz Music Festival coming up. Working with Mr. Huizar, we lifted the mural ordinance. And today I will interview one of our prospective muralists and artists. We put a little art even on our trash cans. We've got about 90 trash cans throughout the district that have our brand. And we're going to do the same thing with the power boxes. We're doing all that we can to create the ambiance of a cultured and civil society in the First District. And that's what art does. It creates civility. It is the vehicle for which 144 languages are spoken and communicated. It is the glue that keeps this city, city of the world, the city that brings most of the people from representatives throughout the world. It's what keeps them together. Here, while others talk about building walls, we talk about building bridges. Bridges in which we can have artists perform under the arches and close them off at night and fill them up with art and theater and music and that type of civility. And so I want to applaud each and every one of the artists who are here, because you represent the best of Los Angeles. You are our ambassadors. You are our expressions and our breath. And so thank each and every one of you for what you do. And you, Mr. O'Farrell, thank you for being the leader on this. You are our voice on this matter. Thank you so much. God bless.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. And thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Arts Day is always my favorite presentation of the year. This is just, it's an awesome sight to see so many creative and talented artistic people in one place. You can feel the energy in City Hall. It's magnificent. We all know that the arts help to define and shape our culture. We all know, as was mentioned by several speakers, that the arts in Southern California in particular are such a vital, irreplaceable part of our economy. 1 in 7 jobs in Los Angeles depends upon the arts, contributes over $5 billion in tax revenues to Los Angeles. We know those things. But we should also keep in mind that the arts help create community and neighborhood at a time when we are so ripped apart as a nation, ripped apart even as a city so often. It's the arts that creates a sense of community and neighborhood. And I'm so honored to represent the NoHo Arts District, and I know our longtime neighborhood council leader, artist Mary Garcia, is here, and as well as Phil Borg, who together have contributed so much to helping to define that neighborhood around the arts. But also, as a few people have touched upon, the arts can reach people who can't otherwise be reached, who need support, who need peace, who need personal development, and especially among our youth. And I'm so thrilled to see Judy Baca here, one of my heroes, Judy Baca, because what she did in my district in Valley Glen in creating her masterpiece, the Great Wall of Los Angeles, the longest mural in the world, was not only create a magnificent piece of art, but she transformed hundreds of lives of youth who were potentially going to go on a completely wrong path or who already had. Some of them who had never touched a paintbrush. And they came together to create one of the world's great works of art. That's how you change lives through the art. Ernie Merlin is here today, who helped to create another fantastic mural in my district, the vintage North Hollywood mural that we were so proud to be able to put in. Ernie brought his students, all from the Exceptional Minds Academy, students who are on the autism spectrum, who might not have an ability to communicate as in the same way that others of us do, but they are finding their voice through the arts. Judy Leventhal, another North Hollywood artist, is here, who conducts after-school workshops in making masks through New Directions for Youth. So in all these ways, we're reaching young people and changing their lives in a way that nothing other than art can do. And we know all this, and yet the state of California continues to lag behind. The state of California, the place where dreams are made, the cultural capital of the world, the state of California continues to drastically underfund the arts compared to every other state in our nation. And it's a shame. And the fact that you're all here, please make your voice heard. I started to try to increase funding in the arts for the Arts Council when I was a member of the Assembly. I failed. Thankfully, my assemblyman, Adrien Nazarian, has been able to succeed where I failed, and we've increased that funding by 5 times. But even with that, the state of California provides 30 cents a year per person for the arts. 30 cents a year. That is absurd, and we have to make that change. Now, I want to say one final thing. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but I just need to say one final thing about murals. I've already mentioned a few of the great ones that we have, and I have to compliment Mr. Huizar for his leadership on this, and many of the others of my colleagues around the Horseshoe, and so many of you in this room who are bringing Los Angeles back to being the mural capital of the world that we should be and have been known as, and we are again. But I want to give one example. In the 1970s, the great muralist Kent Twitchell painted The Old Woman of the Freeway. And everybody who grew up in Los Angeles, everybody remembers that mural because you would see it every single day right next to the Hollywood freeway, and you'd be hypnotized by that woman's eyes who was watching us as we would drive past her on the freeway. And then one day in 1986, hundreds of thousands of people are driving up the Hollywood freeway, and she's gone. Whitewashed over, just painted over without a thought, and the Old Woman of the Freeway disappeared. So I'm pleased to tell you, for those of you who may not know, that Thursday, the Old Woman of the Freeway, Kent Twitchell's masterpiece mural, returns. And she returns to Los Angeles Valley College, where she will be restored and brought back. So Thursday, next Thursday, the Old Woman of the Freeway comes back to LA Valley College. So another bit of good news.
Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you so much. So on the 10th anniversary of Arts for LA and on the 5th anniversary of Arts Day LA, I hereby present the certificate to this wonderful organization and all of their supporters for elevating the importance of art and culture across this great city. Congratulations.
Again, thank you, Mr. O'Farrell. Great presentation. Okay, we'll go to item 42. If I could get Mr. Walsh and Mr. Spindler on item 42.
And, Mr. President, amending motion 42A has been circulated and is before council for consideration.
Okay, Mr. Walsh and Mr. Spindler, please come forward.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or Jay Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This, again, what this is more parking restrictions. Parking restrictions. Parking restrictions. And when a city gets a ticket, they tear it up. Or they go to you for some juice to get you to tear it up. This is parking of vehicles in excess of 22 feet during the morning hours. I'm telling you right now, they want to get rid of the automobile so you can be on the freeway with hardly anybody on it. And you can take the shitty scumbag service on the trains. I just got crushed by one of the operators when he closed the door on me. It is dangerous to take the subway. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Mr. Spindler. Item 42.
Yes? No on this goddamn item. Who are you to tell people they can't have an oversized vehicle? If you got a license plate number and you paid the fucking tax on it, why can't you park it wherever you want? Like over in CD1, for example, off of 8th Street between James M. Woods on over there in Coronado Street, where Gil Cedillo allows people to live on the fucking streets and terrorize children going to Hoover Elementary
Get back on the subject.
So I say no on this motherfucker. 22 fucking feet and 7 feet in fucking height. Who the fuck are you to tell us what we can and cannot do with a motorized vehicle on a public road just because you're a bunch of goddamn fascists? Vote no. Fuck you, Herb.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. You made my day. Mr. Weezer? Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Weezer.
We've circulated item 42-A. There's just a technical amendment changing the word from and to or, one of those two, but it's just a technical amendment that clarifies the timing of when this can happen. Thank you.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
15 ayes.
Okay, let's move to item 15. Ms. McAllister and Mr. Spindler. Item 15, please come forward.
Item 15, I'm concerned about Council District 1, Council District 9, and 10. Now, it says here that you have 127 units of scattered sites, and they're located in these council districts. Now, Council District 1 is comprised of mostly illegal aliens. They have new housing being built right there across the street from the grocery store, brand new from scratch, right on 6th Street before you get to Alvarado, right across the street from Food for Less. So I want to know, out of these 127 units, how much are you getting, Mr. President, in your district and District 9? Because out of 127, I wouldn't be surprised if the illegal aliens got 100 and you guys split up 27. So we need to be specific right here, because I'm here for black people. We got 80% of the homeless, about 80,000 people, black, living on the street or with their families and relatives. So let's fix this. Let's be specific. And we need to know the addresses of these different Columbia apartments, because it says right here there are different ones scattered all around. Scattered where? Where are they scattered? We know they're in your districts, but where? And I want to know, especially in District 1. District 1 and District 4, they have the most illegal aliens in this nation. And we need to find out why they're getting so much affordable housing and why they're getting the benefits that American citizens are supposed to get. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. So, Mr. Spindler, where? There you are.
Now we got some more jackass activity. $18 million of waste and fraud. And for what? A bunch of housing? Costs the city 5 times as much per unit to house these pieces of shit housing units in the private sector, and Donald Trump could build. Give Donald Trump $3 million and he could build the same amount of this shit. So you got to break down where the $18 million is going. $3 million for construction and $12 million for council payoffs. Yes, I think that $12 million's too much in that $18 million. So reduce it to $3 million and the White Hood will support it. Otherwise, this is just another bunch of goddamn wasted bullshit. Fuck the city council.
Let's prepare to vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, let's move to item 48. I have cards on that item, so if I could get Ms. Ramirez and Mr. Previn, followed by Mr. Spindler. Ms. Ramirez, please come forward.
Good morning, Council President Wesson. It is Eric Previn from CD2. And this is an interesting item. Obviously, Englander stepping forward to make possibly federal surplus property in the form of 4 Bell helicopters. Now, I looked at through the number, the kind of particular helicopter it is, and these need to be missionized, obviously. All of them come kind of in a general configuration. This one, I'm happy to report, does not have ordnance or firepower. It's more of a training unit. But it raises some questions, because the idea is that we're going to take these training units that I think were used in Fort Rucker in Alabama. Maybe it's not clear. And then what are we going to do? We're going to replace the LAPD's fleet with these? It feels like getting old equipment for our officers feels a little wrong. It also feels like there's a lot of staff costs and maintenance costs that have not been fully calculated. So these are about $1 million plus for each one. I think up to as high as $1.4 million. I don't honestly think we should be getting involved in this kind of stuff. Why are we poking around trying to build out the Air Force of LAPD? That does not seem like something that the public is particularly interested in, regardless of whether or not there's firepower on them. These are federal property that if they don't want them, why in the world would we want them? I mean, sir, who is running this show? Honestly, I mean, is Mr. Englander going to be allowed to do this kind of thing? Or are we going to put it to rest and get back to constitutional policing? I mean, I feel that when we do these kinds of things, we send a signal that we don't care. Go ahead and, today, by the way, sir, and I'm not going to go off point because I know you don't like that, Tanaka was convicted. Okay, so that is upsetting
You're off
for the
subject.
folks
Come on.
who follow law enforcement. But we're pleased that he's out. But we want to bring accountability to both departments, LASD and LAPD. And
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Ms. Ramirez, followed by Mr. Spindler.
Thank you. I have to worry about these Chango gangbanging Latino pussies.
Now, would you stay on the subject?
Much. Yes, I will. Thank you. God bless our pilots, LAPD and Sheriff's Chopper pilots. These guys kick ass and they got balls like a man should have. The Bell 26 is a family of 2-bladed single or twin-engine helicopters. They are manufactured by Bell Helicopters, and their plant is located in Mirabel, Quebec. Wonderful. I'm happy that Mitchell, Englander, and Bonin have put this resolution through, and I am delighted that we're going to upgrade a newer chopper for these wonderful pilots, because goddamn, they bust their asses night and day, and they deserve something safe and airworthy. And God bless these pilots, because they really do have to do their job meticulously. And with the air power and all the gizmos inside these choppers, it is important that they help the pilot, not only the pilots, co-pilots, but they also help the Foot Patrol, LAPD on ground. God bless these pilots. God bless the LAPD, and God bless the Sheriff's Chopper pilots. But this is a wonderful utility helicopter. The Bell President, Edwin J. Dukayet, has done a wonderful thing for our pilots. And this utility aircraft is very, very airworthy, very easy to maneuver, and of course you have to be coordinated and brilliant and hot looking like these pilots are. Man, that really that helps. So God bless these pilots, because they are kick-ass mama, especially in the flight gear. Look at them. They are hot mama.
All right, Ms. Ramirez, let's get back on the subject. Thank you. You're off the subject now. Thank you. All right. Mr. Spindler. Mr. Spindler, please come forward. That's a little X-rated there. Come on, Mr. Spindler.
I need helicopters for the LAPD. Why do you need more helicopters? To shuttle the VIP assholes from the valley over to City Hall. Look up at the sky in the morning on City Hall East. That's Mark Fuhrer and Charlie Beck, the jackasses in their private helicopter trips, landing on the goddamn building. But they're using these war helicopters because they're only going to use it against blacks and Latinos. Yes, sir. And they're going to put those machine guns back on there when you got the next riot. you're going to shoot the motherfuck out of goddamn South Central with a bunch of military goddamn surplus Bell jet helicopters. Well, I say fuck that goddamn. I don't want no helicopter war machines in the air. I want to get a drone and say fuck you, Herb.
All righty. All righty. Let's prepare to vote on this. Oh, Mr. Walsh, I didn't see that, but please come forward.
John Walsh, I'll help you next time by putting in 10 copies of the same card. Let me tell you where these helicopters are coming from. They're $5 million helicopters, 20 of them. It will cost the city almost $1 million a year. They can contradict me to maintain them and to house them. I'm telling you, they came from Iraq, where they killed non-white people. They patrolled and killed. And I want to say to every black and every Hispanic, they're here, they'll be in your neighborhood, they'll never be in a Jewish neighborhood, and they're here to dump napalm on anything they can on you. They want to spy on black people. They want you to vote for Hillary, and this money is absolutely a waste of time. And this doesn't tell you how much money this has cost. And I want to thank scumbag president who happens to be black, but he's white inside.
He is not talking
HollywoodHighlands.org.
Mr. Walsh, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on the item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Forthwith, let's go to item 40. Ms. Ramirez and Mr. Spindler. And I have a card on Zumadog, so that's item 40. Please come forward.
Since I'm already here, thank you. Yes, I would support this motion. This is for a Hollywood Walk of Fame star for Cyndi Lauper, a very talented singer, I believe, songwriter. And just so you know, she's the one that sings, and girls, they want to have fun. Oh, girls just want to have. That's all well, I was just getting to the hook, Herb. He doesn't like my singing. Anyway, so just
I like
vote yes.
you, though.
What? Okay.
I said I like you.
Thanks, Herb. I love you, too. And thank you for everybody yesterday. I'll see you later.
All right. Now, thank you for yesterday, too. Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you, President Herb Wesson. I'm not crazy about Cyndi Lauper. I really don't care if she gets a star or not. I really don't care for her. I don't like her music. You know, I really would like Boston. I would like a star for Boston. Now, there is a hip, wonderful group, or Led Zeppelin. I would love to see Boston and or Led Zeppelin have a star. Or they probably do. But Cyndi Lauper, I mean, come on, man. She sucks. I just don't care for her music. I know Corette probably does, but no, I'm not crazy about her music. It's a little whiny. It's a little, it sounds like high-toned, whiny, like the Moon Zappa crap, the Valley Girl, like she's got a nasal, the Valley Girl. Oh, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Horrible. She sucks.
Mr. Spindler. Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, we'll now move on to item 41. Mr. Gus, item 41. And then followed by Mr. Spindler on item 41.
1 minute only, please. 1 minute only. So, this is about the Da Vinci fire situation, and I was driving on the 110 North yesterday, and I was shocked that you allowed these balconies to be a stone's throw from the breakdown lane on the 110. How in the world, after you had this incredible inferno rebuilt still as close to anybody who wants to throw a bomb, anybody who wants to throw an incendiary device, I'm telling you, from the breakdown lane to Mr. Wesson, from here to Mr. Wesson is further than the breakdown lane to some of the balconies at the Da Vinci Apartments. How in the world could you have had a massive inferno caused by somebody supposedly in the breakdown lane and you rebuild it as close as ever? I'm telling you, the distance between this podium and where Herb's sitting is further than some of these balconies from the breakdown lane. You're asking for trouble. You need to figure out what you're going to do. 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler.
Well, we got ourselves the Da Vinci fire cover-up of 2015. Yep. Burn it down, get the insurance money so you can fix city property as an incidental violation of the fire code. So what a nice way for the city to help balance its budget, but burn down a project and then repair city property with free insurance money. I wonder who thought that one up. Probably Herbie. You know, that's what happens with the Da Vinci. I say I don't want to report. I don't want to know what happened because I'm a jackass. I don't want to know what happened. And the insurance company already paid. They don't want to know what happened. And nobody here wants to know what happened. Everybody here's the know-nothing city council jackasses. Fuck you, city council.
Thank you. All right, let us prepare. Another car, Mr. Walsh? Come on.
Okay, Da Vinci fire happened almost 1 year ago. It was a bombing. It probably was a terrorist bombing. All the descriptions are that the building blew up. And you're blaming it on one black man who arrived by taxi with 2 cans of kerosene right in front of the LA Fire Department. This was, and you haven't indicted him, and he sits in jail because of the color of his skin. And where's the indictment? I want to know how this man was able to create the biggest inferno in the history of Los Angeles with 2 cans of kerosene, which you claim to have a video of. I'm telling you right now, let me tell you as a white man, when we want to cover something up, we blame a black on it, and then we throw them in goddamn jail forever. And the white scumbags who run the LA Times don't give a shit. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, we are moving to item 47. I have Mr. Gus and Mr. Spindler on item 47.
One minute only, please. 1 minute only. Item 47. So you're giving a $20,000 reward for somebody who tried to murder somebody but wasn't as good at it, as opposed to the item 46 where you give $50,000 because they did manage to murder somebody. Why are you giving less than half the value simply because the guy tried to kill somebody but failed to kill somebody? If you want to catch somebody who's inclined to kill, why do you differentiate between they're trying to kill and actually killing the person? If anybody knows who this culprit is, don't take it. You're getting shortchanged just because you don't stab as well as the person in 46 could shoot. This is city council. They'll do everything they can not to pay you. The money is taxable, and it's not enough to get your family and yourself out of Dodge. They're only offering less than half the amount of money as 46 for the person who did kill. 1 minute only.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Walsh, do you have a card on this one? I don't have it, but this seems like one of your items. Come.
This item, John Walsh blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Jesse Ramirez, $50,000. Again, I challenge you, and call up the office. Give me a list of how many of these gang shootings you've paid out rewards for. I've been here for a long time, and I have never seen a reward paid out, because anybody who tries to snitches get stitches. Everyone's afraid. You can make this award $50 million and no one would take it because they value their lives. This is $50,000, $100,000. If I was murdered by the gangs, you'd have a reward of how about 50 cents? And still no one would collect it because everyone is afraid of the gangs, and chicken shit city council is afraid of the gangs, and they get down on their knees and suck Garcetti's cock.
Let's prepare. Oh, Mr. Spindler, you said you wanted to pass on this one? Okay, let's prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Mr. Clerk, let's move on to item 37.
Item 37 called special for cards.
Dan, item 37. Dan?
1 minute only, please. 1 minute only regarding 37D. It shows you that if you bring small denomination bills, 5s and 10s, and some 20s, not too much 20, to Mr. Wesson, you can get your property off of the rent escrow account program. The only reason the public knows about this is because the great Zuma Dog, who's here today, told us all about it for the past decade and 1 week. So, for 37D, the item in CD10, bring $5 bills, $10 bills, and not too many $20 bills to the Council President, Herb Wesson. You, too, can get your property taken off the rent escrow account program because Sherbert Wesson is a corrupt poverty pimp. You can have your 15 seconds back.
Next speaker, Mr. Walsh, on item 37. Mr. Walsh passes. Mr. Spindler on item 37. He passes as well. Zuma Dog, item 37.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for saying that. And it is noteworthy that Council President Herb Wesson has stepped down for this item because we're talking about the rent escrow program. And I've been coming to City Council for 10 years this week. And in the course of thousands of public comments, it's the number one issue that I have addressed. And it's the number one issue that I feel is the biggest corrupt racket of sheer mafia-style tactics, and it needs to stop. It's the rent escrow program. What happens, and I want you to release all these properties, vote yes to release all these, and to go further, you need to understand that the FBI has interviewed people that have been placed in the rent escrow program, and the FBI has interviewed City Hall employees from this department over this issue. And I think it's no coincidence Herb Wesson stepped down for this item. It always gets pushed to the end. Let's talk about the Cyndi Lauper Hall of Fame. You know, this is item number 1. It's the first item on the agenda, people. Look, it gets pushed to the back of the meeting, hoping we all go away. I'm here to say that City Council needs to investigate the L.A. Housing Department for its rent escrow program under investigation from the FBI that's going to result in people going to jail. Now, what's happening is that these inspectors run around the city to people's properties and say, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. You got to pay people at the window. We've already had FBI busts. Read the L.A. Times about the fact you have to pay the lady at the window to get anything done, and if you don't, then you're going to find out what happens. Then what happens? The mistakes are passed down the line. Even if you are able to comply, well, the city pretends that you didn't, and they don't fax you the release form. And then what happens is you have a court date that you get the notice 2 days late. You lose your property. It's like Vegas, except Tony Soprano running the casino.
Okay, that concludes cards on item 37. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
And let's move on to item 39.
39 called special for cards.
Antonia Ramirez, item 39.
Thank you very much. Communication from Chair and Member Public Safety Committee. You know, we don't even know what goes on in public safety because most of the times Mitchell Englander cancels the public safety meetings. We are in a public safety problem. We have no true leadership. We have no one who can really guide us through the public policy issues and public
to the item.
Time. Either that or he censors us. Now, come on, Mitchell Englander, where the hell are you,
Ms.
man?
Ramirez, I'm going to ask you one more time to stay on the subject.
I'm going to stay on topic. Yeah, I just like to see where the hell he's at. But again, donation of a venue, decorations, food, parking. Listen, I'm all for benefits for the LAPD, like Officer Graciano, Marco Duarte, Morris, and the officer back there. Absolutely phenomenal. But when it comes to scumbags like Ramirez, police officer Ramirez, and a few other idiots who man the front desk at the
Ms. Ramirez, that is not on the subject.
I'm just saying, that
you need to speak to the subject, or I'm going to ask you to sit down.
Donate wonderful things to the police department, but they need to enforce the rule of law and go after the goddamn gangbangers and the wetbacks. Deport, deport, deport.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Thank you very much. The next speaker is Mr. Walsh on item 39. Mr. Walsh, you have 1 minute left, sir.
You can believe this. I want everybody to go outside and take a look at your sidewalk, how bad it is. Now you're going to have to pay for it. But what makes it even worse is what they are spending the money here for. They're spending, I believe, $15,000 for parking, entertainment, and door prizes for the benefit of the LAPD. I mean, what is going on here? I mean, and incidentally, no black people are allowed there unless they kiss Herb Wesson's ass, both cheeks, please. We don't have the money in this city to hand out, to pay for door prizes so people can show up and suck Charlie Beck's cock. We've had enough of this sucking of Charlie Beck's cock. He's the worst LAPD chief we ever had, and that's saying a lot. Take a look at it. Donation, venue, decorations, food, parking, entertainment, what entertainment, and door prizes. Fuck you.
Next speaker is Wayne Spindler on item 39. You have 1 minute left, Mr. Spindler.
I'll give a door prize to the king jackass Charlie Beck. A big old kick in the ass for that piece of shit. LAPD, that's why I'm wearing a hood. That's what happens. Door prizes? No, the door prize ought to be a federal indictment against the LA Police Commission and the dumb jackass Charlie Beck. They should even dig up the old one there, Gates, and try him too. Motherfuckers, and you're giving them a parade and more money? Thank you? Thank you for what? Thank you for higher crime? Thank you for a 41% increase in crime down there in the harbor area? Are we supposed to be thankful for that? Of course we are, because the council's made of jackasses, and that's why they're doing it. Vote no on this fucking item. Now, I got my $975,000 claim. Pay that, you fucking bitch.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. That concludes cards on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Let's move on to item 1.
Item 1, called special for cards. Madam President, in the meantime, there has been a request from the department to continue items 1D and E to May 6th and to receive and file 1K inasmuch as the property is owner-occupied.
Okay, without objection, let's move on to cards. Rigoberto Rivera, item 1. 1D. Is that person here? Rigoberto Rivera? I don't see anyone by that name come up to the podium. Next speaker is Eileen Leslie on item 1E. Is she here? Mr. Spinner, we can do without the applause. Ms. Leslie, are you here? It's not here either. Zuma Dog on item 1.
Thank you. And on behalf of all people on this list right now, on number one, all items, I'm here to put on the record, I want you to release these properties. I have been contacted by the community and various housing coalitions that there is an FBI investigation into the Building and Safety Department and of the LA Housing Department over the liens. Now, I understand that this is not the rent escrow program. It's already past that. What happens, let me run through this. The city has a bad habit, like a mafia racket, to go around to people. See, here, the brief premise for this is that everybody's property in the city is like a chip in Vegas, and it's the house of the city hall to try to take those chips. Housing properties, just chips for the city to repossess from you, and they do it through the building and safety. Seems so innocuous. High, oh, you know, that fence, it's a quarter-inch too high, and you know what, this laundry room, you need to do this over here. You know what, this fence, it needs to be this. So they come up with a bunch of stuff, and it never ends. And then banks will not even loan for these things to occur, to the improvements to be made. Then the city moves in, they put you on the lien program. Okay, much like if you owe money to the loan shark, that you didn't even borrow from the loan shark. They just said, yeah, you borrowed this money. In other words, you got to do this stuff. And then the worst part is even if you comply, then they still don't let you off the hook. You find yourself in court. Tons of properties have been seized by the city through this program. And it is the single biggest fear of city council, the class action lawsuit that is already in Superior Court and the bust that I'm expecting from the FBI. So to sum it up, release these properties from the rent escrow, from the liens. The department is under FBI investigation.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, Patricia McAllister on item number 1.
Okay, I've been monitoring this lien list you have here every day, and I don't see any liens in Council District 1 and Council District 4. Council District 1 has a very high amount of illegal aliens. That's including all of this area and downtown and whatnot, Westlake. A lot of illegal aliens. And Council District 4, those people are rich. Those are the rich Koreans and the illegal aliens. Now, this was reported by CNN that Asians make up the highest level or the largest level group of illegal aliens behind the Mexicans. Now, these Asians are, and this has been reported in the news, they're buying homes here in California for cash. They're coming here with cash money, illegals, buying housing. Now, I've got Council District 4 right here. There are AB2 criteria. They've got properties. They've got development going over in Hollywood, 13 developments. Hollywood redevelopment project, Exposition Park, Mid-City Recovery, Rodeo, La Cienega redevelopment, Westlake redevelopment, Laurel Canyon, North Hollywood. I can go on and on and on. And in the poor districts, districts 8 and 9 and 10, they're not getting a darn thing, and they're the ones who need it. Now, I don't know where Rue is, this Asian guy, but we got to get him in here because these Asians are not going to take over this California here, especially not this nation. Now, here's another thing. We've got this handy worker program where people who have these violations, they can get $5,000. She is not talking about the building and safety liens.
You need to just stick to the item. This is on liens, not the handyman project.
Okay. I know they don't want me to talk about that $5,000 because the people can get it. It's $2.6 million in that kitty. And every time I mention it to city attorney, which you got 500 attorneys, and the county has half of this.
She is still not talking about this item.
Defend the city being crooked, okay?
Thank you, ma'am. That concludes your time. That concludes cards on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Thank you. Let's move on to item
45, called special for cards.
Dan, item 45. Followed by Eric Previn.
1 minute only, please. 1 minute on item 45. So, isn't this ironic? City Council objects to the federal government creeping into City Council's business. I'm trying to find out, does anybody on City Council hold a pilot's license? No? Does anybody on city council have a background in aviation? Anybody? No? So then why the hell do you think that you know more about control of aviation and drones than the FAA? This is the city government which knows nothing. I mean, does Herb Wesson have a pilot's license? I don't know. I don't know if his feet could reach the pedals. The problem is, why does city council think that it has better knowledge of aviation and drones than the FAA? How do you like the federal government treading on your turf? That's because Herb is a corrupt poverty pimp.
Next speaker is Eric Previn on item 45.
Thank you, Council President Martinez. It's Eric Previn from CD2. Here we have the brave council member from CD12 joining in opposition. He wants to get the city council to agree to oppose a motion by a guy in Congress, or Senate, named Thune, if you pronounce Thune, I think is how you pronounce it, who's a Republican. But his point of view is that the Federal Aviation Administration ought to handle these drones and the regulation thereof. Now, we do have some concerns, and Bonin obviously is a vigilant monitor of the airport retail environment mostly, but he's also interested in the 5,000-foot ceiling and how we do not want unmanned aerial vehicles, whatever they're called, penetrating that in any way for obvious reasons, because we don't want to have an accident of any kind. But the question of whether or not the hallowed city council should be involved in the enforcement or administration of any of that comes forward. And the Rules Committee has met on this, I'm happy to report. And the Rules Committee, as Marquise Harris Dawson will confirm, is a very stately committee. They met, in fact, last night right in this very room. And they are the ones charged with making the various regulations for where the city does choose to get involved. So on that basis alone, I would simply say, no, we should not be involved in any rulemaking of any kind. We have botched the neighborhood council election thing beyond recognition. It's unbelievable. They have tried to roll out a simple online voting dimension that Cedillo would almost stand up and make a speech about. It is so bad in this environment. To have this group regulating something like drones is insane. It is absolutely insane. Now, the Administrative Citation Enforcement Program by Mr. Englander and Mr. Fuhr, partnering up for Porter Ranch, is to be noted. They would love to write some citations, but we shouldn't go in that direction. We should protect the aircraft and make sure nobody gets hurt, but we should not be involved in making any rules. I beg you, Martinez, this is not a group who are functional. So please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes cards on item 45. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Let's move on to item 46.
Item 46, called special for cards.
Dan, item 46.
Skip.
He's going to pass. That concludes cards on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the votes.
13 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, that brings us to item 50 for closed session. So I'm going to ask the sergeants to please help us clear the room.
A hearing was handled in Budget and Finance Committee.
Sergeants, let's prepare the room for closed session, please.
All right, we're back. We're back in open session. Mr. City Attorney, did you need to make an announcement?
Yes, just to make a record, Mr. President, Wayne Spindler refused to immediately comply with the sergeant's commands to clear the chambers for closed session, and he purposely avoided compliance. Mr. Spindler's actions delayed the start of closed session and thus interfered with the progress of the meeting. Mr. Spindler was ordered removed by the council president for substantially impairing the conduct of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clerk, where are we now on the agenda?
Mr. President, that takes council to public comment for items not on council's agenda.
Okay, so general public. Harriet, Elliott, Dan, Michael, carry on.
Oh, Harriet Elliott from Councilmember Wesson, President Councilmember Wesson District. I have no complaints in the, against him. This is a very strange subject right now that I'm going to bring up, and it seems so small. You think, why talk about it publicly? My girlfriend tries to make me date men. Okay? Now you say, okay, well, why are you talking about it in front of the whole city council? Well, this is not a light issue. I don't fix any of my teeth because my girlfriend, Rachel Senni, this tall, forces me to date men. I would like to break her in two. However, I just broke off friendship with her, but she admitted to our president, who many people know. His name is Jim Underdown, a really nice guy. And I'm hoping someone calls Jim Underdown and asks him, did Rachel Senni admit that for more than 10 years she's kept men right next to Harriet all the time?
Thank you.
It has ramifications.
Thank you. Sergeants, can you move the center chair, Mr. Gus?
Yes. Gee, it seems like there are several agenda items that you didn't call and you didn't tell us what the resolution was to item 50. How can you have addressed item 50 and not tell us what the outcome of it was? Anyway, that's why this city is run by a corrupt poverty pimp. I actually like Herb. He's a nice guy if you meet him in person. But if you cross Herb Wesson, his girlfriend, Ed Johnson, will call you, and he'll say, you know, it's a privilege for you to meet Herb Wesson. I said, no, it's not a privilege. It's a privilege for Mr. Wesson to have us come to him and tell him where the city's missing money, to have us come to him and tell him where the problems are. It's not our honor to meet with you. It's your privilege to meet with us. And all sorts of other stuff that Mr. Johnson may have mentioned that I'll save for another time. When you respect us, we respect you. When you disrespect us, we'll double disrespect you in response.
Mr. Carrion, Jose Martinez, Antonio Ramirez.
Hey, thank you. First of all, I'd like to find out when you guys are going to start the city council on time. Why is it that you city council member officials can't even get here on time? You're getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, but yet you can't show up on time. You got to start docking them. Starting with Mr. Weezar. He was one of the guilty persons who couldn't make it here on time. And since I've been here, 95% of the time he can't get here on time. But if it was a woman waiting here for him, he'd be here on time. And as of today, it's the first time he had the guts to stay here and deal with the issues instead of sending somebody else to deal with him and run and hide in the back like a coward. Big jackass.
So if I could get Ms. Ramirez, Zuma, are you still
Thank
here?
you
Zuma
very
Dog.
much.
Hold on, Ms. Ramirez.
Sorry.
Just wait. After Ms. Ramirez, we get Zuma Dog. And then I think the last name is Frank. Okay, then you'll be the third up. Go ahead, Ms. Ramirez.
Thank you very much. I'd like to complain about two LAPD buffoons, Officer Diner or Dinner, serial number 22432, and LAPD buffoon Ramirez, no relation, serial number 39614. Last night I went to the headquarters on 1st Street after 10 o'clock p.m., about 11:30 p.m. Last night, and they refused to let me go to the bathroom. I held it in all night and waited to go this morning to the Grand Park, Music Center Grand Park, and the gangbangers, the goddamn gangbangers and wetbacks, vandalized and graffitied the plumbing. So the bathrooms at the Grand Park, Music Center Grand Park, are closed. They were vandalized by the wetbacks and gangbangers because I came back to City Hall to complain about the gangbangers and the wetbacks. So today, the bathrooms were not available, were not working. So God bless Donald Trump. I will vote for him to deport these filthy, scummy thieves, pigs, and wetbacks.
Thank you. So if I could get Mr. Dog, Mr. Frank, and Miss McAllister. Patricia McAllister. Yes, sir.
1 minute, not a long time. I'd like to say April 4th, 2006 was the first time I came here, 10-year anniversary, 10 years since I met Mike and Herb and Jose Huizar. And so I thank Bill very much Friday. And I'd like to thank all the council members. I'm here to thank you people today because, you know, it's been a turbulent ride. And I'm very happy and pleased by the fact that you are caring about my response to Bill. I came here to do this really as a duty to him for all he did for me. We became great friends over the last 3 years. He's had a profound effect on me. I really do miss him. I wanted to let him know how great his memorial was yesterday. I realized that's the biggest frustration in life, I realize. But seriously, I'm very pleased that you are pleased in my response. I want the people to know that the council's been very nice to me in this time regarding Bill Rosendahl. And Villaraigosa, he absolutely was perfect in his eulogy. Thank you, Antonio.
And you were Zuma, a stand-up guy on this. I have to admit that. So if I could get Mr. Frank, Ms. McAllister, and Mr. Previn.
I want to issue a point of order when I've talked to my councilman, Paul Koretz, regarding the 4.7% increase in the water rate. The thing is that when it comes to the low-income discount, it doesn't seem there has been put into the measure for those who can't afford the rate hike, the actual money to be made for the increase. So I'm asking whether or not the measure could be delayed until it could be amended to word that those who are on low-income rate are compensated, or at least it's paid for. Was it ever considered that, Mr. President? I'm asking a question and my point of order.
This is not a question and answer period.
I spoke to Paul Koretz about this, and I'm wondering whether or not there is wording in this measure that allows for people who are on low-income discount to be helped paying for that extra amount. And I really want to know.
Thank you. And somebody should give him respond to him. Ms. McAllister, Mr. Previn, Mr. Walsh. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, these 2 and 3 hour parades that you're having here during the council sessions should be stopped. We have 100,000 homeless people on Skid Row and around the city, 11 million illegal aliens. Illegal aliens are getting all of the affordable housing in the city. Every time you hear this council say they're going to build some affordable housing, illegal aliens are getting free $50 a month housing. Now, according to the Los Angeles Unified School District, 80% of the children are illegal. They're Hispanic. 80%. We have given this state over to the illegal aliens. And you Negroes, and I call all of you Negroes, because you all come from black people, you come up in here with your little jewelry on, everything all fixed up, cleaned up, taking a shower, and some of you smell like liquor. If you have an alcohol problem or a crack problem or a cocaine problem, get your re-in and treatment and come in here and do your job for the American people.
Mr. Previn, Mr. Walsh, and I have a Patty. I can't quite make out the last name. So, Mr. Previn?
Yes, it's Eric Previn from CD2. And, sir, last night at the 6 p.m. Rules Committee meeting that you held in this hall, you and Marquise Harris Dawson approved extending time for neighborhood councilors up to 5 minutes, which is offensive to ordinary members of the public who you limit on a regular basis. The bigger issue is that the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment is engaged in some very bad and wrong behavior. There's a guy named Jay Handel, Handal, who I know you all know well. He is the kind of ringleader of activities that include really suppressing the voices of the residents of Los Angeles that the very neighborhood councils are intended to bring forward. So, sir, I'm pulling you into this mix because you are the one who has heard in repetition about the violations of the Studio City Neighborhood Council, about Dunn's improper launch of the online voting platform such that suppression has taken place, sir. I know that's important to a guy like you who has garnered lots of votes on your own, the fair way and honest way. We have tried, sir. There is a impossibility, and you need to take action. You need to get with the district attorney and move forward at staying these elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Mr. Walsh, and then I want Patty, I think last name begins with a B-E-R, then Oscar Mohammed.
John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. Notice Mr. Englander is not here. He's getting paid to be here, but he's out running for supervisor. Anybody but Englander for supervisor. No on R2, the ultimate detour. No on another half-cent sales tax to waste billions of dollars on a tunnel. That's a state. That's a local tax. Anybody but Englander. No Olympics. The Olympics will cause absolute, total chaos. Anybody but Englander for supervisor. No on the Olympics. We must stop them. Come to our website for more information. Not another 1/2-cent sales tax. No on the Olympics. No on R2, D2. No, no, a million times no. Don't let them rape you. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Oh, neighborhood council. Come forward and pronounce your last name for me again.
I'm sorry, I have the worst handwriting in the world. It's Berman, B-E-R-M-A-N.
Really? Okay. Good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you. And before I get started, I want to thank you for all the things you do for the neighborhood councils, and we appreciate it. So just go on record for that. And as many of you will know, neighborhood councils are going through an election cycle right now, and many of us, like the Downtown Neighborhood Council, are beta testing the new concept of online voting with the idea of increasing votership in this city. I don't think there's anyone here who could say it doesn't need improvement. So what I'm here today to ask you is, since everyone who works in this building is a stakeholder in the Downtown Los Angeles Neighborhood Council, can vote in this election as well as the one in your neighborhood. You can vote for both. I am asking that all of you get you and your staff and the people who are working in this building to register as online voters for this neighborhood council and to vote and to prove that we can actually do better in this city. I'm going to be going around to all your offices and distributing some little postcards that'll tell you how to do it. And I would really appreciate the support of this body for our neighborhood council.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Mohammed, followed by Quasi. You're the cleanup hitter today. Yes, sir.
Yes, it's been reported that the Los Angeles policemen do their target practice with silhouettes, and they put a black man picture in front of them. And when they shoot the black man in the head, when they shoot the black man in the heart, they get very high grading with that. But anyway, we should move the homeless from downtown Skid Row, turn Skid Row into Death Row. We should let Eric Garcetti and Chief Beck sleep downtown on the sidewalk in cardboard boxes. They should lead by example. We should have a government to bridge political responsibility. We need fair housing. We need more affordable housing, especially for the black female in Christianity. They're living in other people's rooms, and that is against the law. The people don't have no license to rent rooms in their house to let other people use their, and they're not under their authority. But anyway, greed and deceit, fear, Allah in the Quran, and the message Muhammad brought to humanity. America would be a much better government if we could live by the Constitution that governs us.
Thank you. Come on, sir. Quasi, you're up. Yes, sir.
Yes. My name is Kwasi Nkrumah. I'm here today in my capacity as president in exile of the Echo Park Neighborhood Council. The reason I say president in exile is that in my experience over the past 2 years of being president of the Neighborhood Council in Echo Park, I have witnessed and been subjected to a long string of unscrupulous, unethical, and illegal acts, both by officials of the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, by petty politicians. The name Jay Handel was mentioned earlier. Mr. Jay Handel in particular is one of the most unscrupulous, most unethical, and illegal activists within the Neighborhood Council system. You know him well because he heads the Budget Advocates Group, which I was a member of several years ago. Now, our Neighborhood Council was shut down about 6 months ago under illegal and actually violative acts in regard to our rights under the city charter, the civil rights of some of our members, and all of the ordinances that govern the neighborhood councils and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I would like to talk to all of you about it.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes general public comment. What's before this body?
Mr. President, Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted. They are referred.
The desk is clear.
Okay, let's announcements, members. Announcements. If we could please rise. If all could please rise for adjourning motions. Announcements. Okay, Mr. Krikorian for an announcement.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. A couple of things. First, as a couple of public speakers mentioned, I do want to mention that we're having neighborhood council elections this week in many parts of the city. Studio City, Valley Village, and Midtown North Hollywood are all having their elections tomorrow, so hope anybody who is in that area will have an opportunity to vote. I have a bit of a more serious announcement, Mr. President. As some of you might have seen on the news, there has been tremendous violence over the last few days in the Caucasus. About 20 years ago, a small little group of ethnically Armenian people declared their independence and created the Republic of Artsakh. And many of you know about this. Some of you have been there. We had the president of Artsakh here in council to honor him just a few years ago for that people's historic resistance and declaration of self-determination. But unfortunately, over the last few days, that group of people who've heroically stood in their historic lands have been under attack by the Republic of Azerbaijan. And there have been scores of military and civilian deaths. There have been reports of atrocities that have been committed against the people of Artsakh. And it has been a very tragic and troubling situation in a part of the world that is vitally important to American interests. So I did just want to let you all know that on next Tuesday evening, April 12th, from 6 to 8:30, there will be a vigil on the South Lawn of City Hall, and a number of us and many members of the public will be calling on the Republic of Azerbaijan to stand down their military action and to support peace in the region. So I hope that you'll all be able to join us for that.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Members, any other announcements? Now I'm going to look to my left. We're going to move to adjourning motions. Mr. Harris Dawson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. We have two adjourning motions today. The first is for Regina Elaine Jones, born on April 29th and in 1946 in Phoenix, Arizona, moved to California some years later. Gina was the first of three generations of children to be born deaf. In the 1970s, she came to California and got involved in various organizations to help the deaf, including DCARA. She has a saying that I really like is, even though you are deaf, you can still have success in life. There's nothing wrong with your brain. Miss Jones is the grandmother of my communications assistant, Chanel Brown, who helps us a lot in our district we have a school for the deaf in our district, as well as many deaf folks that are involved in civic life. And so we ask the council to adjourn in her memory. And we also have longtime neighborhood activist, resident of the Vermont Knolls neighborhood, Mr. Lawrence Kuntz, born in 1945. We lost him last week. He came to California in the late 1960s, worked for a mattress company. That was when you could make a living in manufacturing in this city, and then went on to own a couple businesses in South LA, including 2 supermarkets. He became active in the Vermont Knolls community, as well as the 77th 77th Division Police Commission. He was a very active member of the Community Coalition and a host of other organizations in the district, and it will be a great loss in Council District 8 for Mr. Kuntz. So again, we ask for adjourning in his memory as well.
Okay, I'm still looking to my left. I don't see any other adjournings. I now go right. Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, I ask that we adjourn in memory of Thuy Tran. She was a student at Bravo Medical Magnet who unfortunately passed away while she was helping to clean up the beaches at Santa Monica. She got swept away and drowned. She was an exceptional student and a star athlete. She was a great friend to her classmates and often assisted her fellow students as a tutor. Thuy was a participant in College Match, a program that seeks to help talented students get accepted into top-tier colleges across the nation. As a senior at Bravo High, Thuy was on track to become the class's valedictorian. She had recently been admitted to both Stanford and Yale. She hoped to go into the STEM field and pursue a career in cancer research. She was also a member of the Bravo track team for all 4 years of high school, where she held top records for Bravo's track team. Thuy grew up playing the violin. She also enjoyed reading, watching movies, and listening to music. She was also known as a person who had always had a smile on her face. She was humble, caring, always willing to help others, and a great believer in community service work. And unfortunately, we saw the results of that when she was doing some of that community service. Every child in our city is a precious resource with boundless potential. Often that potential shows itself later in life. In Thuy's case, it was clearly evident for all the world to see at a very early age, and her legacy is that she made the most of her life each and every day, and is a reminder to all of us that we shall and should do the same. Thuy will be missed and remembered by everyone. Condolences to her family, friends, and peers who got to know her. Condolences to Bravo Medical Magnet High School community. A promising student with much potential. Unfortunately, God took her way too soon from us here on this planet. Thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to briefly adjourn in memory of 3 notable performers. First of all, Merle Haggard died today on his birthday at the age of 79 at his home in Northern California from complications of pneumonia. He recorded more than 36 #1 country hits in a musical career that spanned 6 decades from the 60s to the present. He overcame an early life of crime and a prison term at San Quentin to develop a rugged outlaw image that ultimately helped him sell millions of records. And it would take all day to name his memorable songs, but probably the one that more of us would remember, those of us that are old enough, was Okie from Muskogee. Also, Keith Emerson died in March. He was a prominent keyboardist and composer, best known for playing with the band The Nice, and then being a founding member of Emerson, Lake and Palmer. He was famous for being, according to one music critic, perhaps the greatest, most technically accomplished keyboardist in rock and roll history, which I would certainly agree with. He was also celebrated for his onstage theatrics, including playing the organ upside down while having it lying over him and using knives to wedge down specific keys and sustain notes during solos. And he played in what I thought was the best concert I ever heard at the Greek Theater a number of years ago. And they had replaced the drummer at that time, so it was Emerson, Lake, and Powell, but it was still ELP, and they were terrific. Also, the late Frank Sinatra helped light up the past century for fans of music everywhere, but he also cast a giant shadow over his son's career. And Frank Sinatra Jr., his son, passed away unexpectedly on March 16th of cardiac arrest at age 73. Probably best known for who his father was and for being the victim of a very famous kidnapping. He was kidnapped in 1963. Ultimately, obviously released after his father paid the ransom. He was a tremendous entertainer in his own right. Music critic Richard Janelle said, Sinatra Jr. might have had an easier time establishing himself if he had gone into real estate. But his show made me awfully glad he decided music was his calling. There aren't too many singers with Sinatra's depth of experience in big band music or his knowledge of the classic American songbook. There are even fewer with such real feelings for the lyric of a song and such a knack for investing a song with style and personality. And he also did a lot to keep his father's music alive and perform much of it. So we live in a city with many artists, and we obviously acknowledge them today. So I'd like to adjourn in memory of these three very notable artists.
Well done. I'm still looking to my right. I do not see any more adjourning motions. Members, this meeting is adjourned.